From the Fantasy Armchair, it is the Fantasy TyRant. Hey there, fellow fantasy football freaks. Welcome back to the Fantasy Armchair. As you can see, the new digs are still under construction. But my computer, old Mac the Knife, he's running faster than ever. Sorry I didn't get this video out sooner. Actually, it had nothing to do with the Mac this time. It's running smooth as eggs. But I had like a funeral to go to, a wake for my good buddy Bob. You know, a lot of stuff that's going on. Hey, life happens. I'm a one-man show. Next week, and from there on out, things are going to be on time and in order. But hey, better late than never. And with my upgraded system, things are going to be faster, smoother, and better. But one thing that doesn't need any upgrading is my information that I give to you. This quality content, I take the information from all around, I filter it through this noggin here, and I give it straight to you. It doesn't matter what the rest of this shit looks like, as long as you get the info, right? But hey, I like to make it a little entertaining, a little fun. So let's keep that vibe going, because we got week one's episode of my flagship show, Benches and Bumps. Don't worry, the jingle's coming. Plus, I'm gonna go over some sleepers and my double deep danger dive of the week. But if you want more sleepers and deep dives, you're gonna want to tune in this Sunday morning, my Tinker Stinker Power Hour, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. For 1 hour, I'll be going over my sleepers, my deep dives, and I'll be answering your questions so that I can help you win your week and start the season off right. Before we can do that, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If that number down there doesn't say 300 subscribers, go ahead and hit that button for me. If we get to 300 by the end of this month, then in October, I'm going to have something awesome for you. So share this with everyone you know, everyone you meet, even those Mormons that are on their mission going door to door. Yeah, invite them in and share with them the gospel of the TyRant. Enough of the bullshit. Let's move on with the good shit, because it's time for Benches and Bumps, Benches and Bumps, Benches and Bumps. And let's start with my running back, who's getting my bump of the week, Raheem Mostert. Until he's injured or has his job kiped from him by Trey Sermon, Raheem Mostert is a must start with some mustard in his step. The Lions were the worst defense in terms of giving up fantasy points to running backs, giving up over 30 per game. And the defense has only gotten worse. The Niners are going to be running over them all day long. Heck, even if Mostert gets injured in the first half, he'll probably still put up over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns before he does. Mostert's gonna torch those purring little baby kittens of Detroit. Detroit Rock City? More like Detroit Cock Shitty. Yeah, I know, that's a bit of a stretch, sorry. Point is, Mostert looked great in the preseason dress rehearsal. Now that the games count, he's gonna be unleashed as the main man in the top rushing offense of the last few years. Start Mostert on your team, put him in DFS, the whole shebang. Hey, love this guy. Let's see who else I'm bumping up. I think we tore down Miles Sanders' value enough this offseason. We made it seem like this dude has the running ability of a quadriplegic on horse tranquilizers. Dude isn't that bad. And last season he was putting up consistent RB1 numbers when Hurts was at the helm. Hurts is the starting QB in Philly this season, and maybe Miles Sanders fades out as Kenny Gainwell fades in as the season goes on. But as long as he's a starter and running against a piss-poor defense like the Falcons in a game that'll likely see a lot of points scored, you gotta start everyone in this game. If Sanders puts up a dud here, trade him fast. But I have a feeling he posts solid numbers in this one. Give him the bump up to your starting lineup. Unless we forget James Robinson was the RB7 last year on the worst team in the league. This year with a shiny new offense and a future stud QB, the Jags won't be pushovers, and that should mean more production for J-Rob. So why in the 2-ton titty fuck is he being treated like an RB3 or flex at best? He's facing the Texans this week, the new shittiest team in town, and should be running all over that field and lighting up fantasy scoreboards like a pinball machine. Is that a dated reference these days? I don't know. I don't care. Start every fantasy commodity you've got against the Texans all year, especially the studs like James Robinson. I should never have to have him in the bumps column again after this week, because you should all be respecting him as the stud he is after he puts up RB1 numbers against the Texans. Bump his ass up. Here's some sleepers for you. The Chiefs are going to make the Browns throw, but that could work in Kareem Hunt's favor. But more importantly is Hunt's usage in the Browns passing game, and that'll ensure that he gets a lot of work against the top team in the AFC this week. Everyone's scrambling for Ravens RBs like they're toilet paper in a pandemic. What, too soon? I'm seeing yous all asking about Laddie Murray, Lev Bell, even Devontae Freeman. But you're forgetting about the guy who almost beat out Gus for the number 2 spot behind Dobbins, Tyson Williams. This undrafted second-year running back has proved himself to the coaches, and this Sunday he'll prove himself to fantasy managers going up against the bottom-feeding Raiders D, who ranked 4th worst against the run in fantasy last season. I see no reason they're any better this season. If you were smart enough to pick up the actual RB1 for the Ravens, you'll be rewarded if you start him. On the other side of the coin there, my bench of the week is David Montgomery. Listen, I know I told you that he's going to be a stud this year and to draft him, but hey, this first week, he goes on the road against the Rams. Last year, they held Monty to 48 rushing yards and just 21 receiving yards off 5 catches. So in PPR, that was 11.9 points, but in standard, that's 6.9. Ugh, you got better than that going on, right? You better, or else you're going to be forced to start David Montgomery and watch him put up mediocre numbers. Aaron Donald and the Ramsey are going to make Monty a flex at best. You might have to start him, but if you've got other options, you might try them out and leave Monty on your bench. Other running backs I'm benching this week. DeAndre Swift is starting, that's good. Too bad he's still got some lingering effects from that groin injury. The Niners D are like a bunch of sharks, and they smell blood. And they ain't no baby shark. These are bloodthirsty great whites, and it's gonna be a feeding frenzy on Swift and the run game. Nothing fishy here, just an elite D sinking its jaws into a garbage offense. Are you liking the shark puns there, eh? Seriously though, Swift could have a great season if he can keep his health up, but in this game, he's just shark bait. Ooh-ha-ha. Hey, I'm a dad, what do you want? Put him on your bench. Zach Moss will become the man in the Bills' rushing attack by the season's end. Not so sure about this first game though, especially against the Steelers' hardcore D. The Bills have the lowest running percentage in the league. This isn't going to be a high-scoring game unless it's through the air, but I think this will be a slower-paced game with less scoring. That's not going to bode well for Moss. I think he eventually becomes an RB2 this season, but this matchup isn't a good one to start him in. Stash him for better days on your bench. And be on alert for potential rookie busts this week like Javonte Williams, Trey Sermon, and Michael Carter. Basically, any rookie running back not named Najee Harris. All of these guys are super talented, but none of them are the RB1 on their team for now. When they are, they'll be dynamite, so keep them, but don't start them just yet. The wide receivers are up next, and my bump of the week for wide receivers is Robbie Anderson. What's better than a revenge game? A double revenge game. Anderson's hooked up with his former QB from the Jets, Sam Darnold. And these two definitely have a connection. And I think they're going to open up the scoring big against their old team. The Jets D is about as good at the pass as Facebook is at fact-checking. And Robbie was already the top target in the offense last year, despite being the number 2 behind DJ Moore. Until Darnold recognizes Moore's talent, Robbie's going to be the guy again. It's all about Mr. Anderson right now, so ignore the sound of inevitability and start Robbie until he's no longer the guy, which may be soon, but not before he and his boy Darnold tear their old team a new one. Give Robbie Anderson a bump up this week. Other wide receivers I'm bumping up. Everyone's been so down on Adam Thielen, and while I understand it to a point, dude isn't going to just drop off the face of the earth. Will the Vikings be a run-first offense? Sure. Is Justin Jefferson now the top target for Kirk Cousins? Obviously. But against the Bengals team missing Trey Waynes, there will be plenty to eat for both Jeffy and Thielen. Yeah, his numbers may regress this season, but in the first game, you're still starting Thielen, and you won't be disappointed. Thielen is a solid wide receiver too this week against a lowly Bengals D. Bump him up. Laviska Shenault was getting a lot of buzz last season, but I thought everyone was a year early on the guy. And I couldn't agree with myself more. Dude was a top target for Lawrence in the preseason, and we all know that rookie QBs love to find their security blanket in preseason and tend to stick with them. Shenault is the guy for Lawrence, and I see the dude doing some damage all season long. And against what equates to be basically no defense in Houston, Shenault is going to thrive. Those who took the shot on drafting Laviska are about to see that move pay off. Give him a bump this week. Some sleepers I like here. Callaway does technically count as a sleeper, but he might be the worst kept secret around because with both Thomas and Smith out and Troutman banged up, Marquez Callaway is a top target for Jameis in the Saints passing game. And yeah, I think Juwan Johnson and Lil Jordan Humphrey are sneaky picks. More on them later on. But ultimately, I see 10 or more receptions for Callaway and at least a touchdown in what will likely be a shootout against the Packers. Jacoby Myers was all but cast aside last year, but mostly thanks to injury, found himself as a top wide receiver in the Pats offense. The Dolphins' D were bottom 10 against fantasy pass catchers last season. Aguilar's dealing with a lingering injury, per usual. Myers is going to be a go-to wide receiver for Mac Jones and is grossly underrated. He's at least a flex of wide receiver 3, but is being ranked as a wide receiver 4 or 5. Myers is a start this week, especially in deep leagues. As for the wide receivers I'm benching, I'm fearful of starting Steelers wide receivers this week, especially Deontay Johnson, because I think he's going to be shadowed by Tre'Davious White all game, and that's no good. White is a true shutdown corner, and if there's going to be any points found in this matchup, it's probably going to be in the running game. But I think this game is going to be generally low scoring, kind of like a defensive struggle. And Big Ben's already got a lot of mouths to feed, so likely he's not going to want to throw it in the direction of Tre'Davious White. Hey, you might not have the depth to put Johnson on your pine, but if you're stacked at wide receiver, give one of those other guys a chance and put Deontay Johnson on your bench. Other wide receivers I'm benching, Kenny Galladay's been an injury-prone bust his whole career with the Lions, and now he joins a shitty, toxic Giants team with a laughably bad QB in Danny Pennies. I call him that because he certainly doesn't toss dimes. And Kenny is wasted on this team. Poor guy's going to go down as a bust in his career, and it might not be entirely his fault. The Denver D is legit and will keep this game to a slow, methodical, low-scoring pace as they wear down the Giants' offense like a girlfriend wears down a man until he marries her. I know some of you feel that one. Anyway, bad week, hell, bad year for the Giants. So until further notice, you may as well keep Kenny on your bench. Jamar Chase is going to be a superstar, there's no doubt. Maybe even by the end of this season. But week 1, I don't think so. Boyd and Higgins have already established their roles in the offense, and, well, yeah, Chase is Burrow's old college go-to. The love for Higgins is real. It's going to take a few weeks for Chase to butt in on that bromance. Until then, Chase is just a wide receiver 3 in this offense, which makes him barely useful in fantasy this week. Plus, the Vikings secondary is no joke, with the additions of Xavier Woods and Patrick Peterson. So this week especially, but until we see Chase improve his place in the pecking order, he's better off sitting on your bench. And be on alert for a big bust from A-Rob this week. He's going to be shadowed by Jalen Ramsey, and you know what that means. His numbers will be brutal. You aren't sitting, A-Rob, but don't poop your pampers if he gets less than 10 fantasy points this week, because it's practically predictable. Now it's time for the QBs, and my QB bump of the week is Jalen Hurts. As long as he's healthy, Jalen Hurts is a top 5 QB this season. And this week, he's got the Falcons D, who was giving up the second most points to opposing quarterbacks last season. And as a starter last season, in weeks 14 through 17, Jalen Hurts was putting up over 20 fantasy points a week. I'm thinking this guy's going to put up like low-end RB1 numbers and high-end QB2 numbers combined each and every week. That's like 2 players in one. Crazy. Yeah, mobile quarterbacks get injured quick, but until he does, dude's gonna be a stud. And this week, he's got a soft-ass defense in the Atlanta Falcons. Hey, so for week 1 at least, you got a stud QB in Hurts. So you better bump him up to your starting lineup. Other QBs I'm bumping up, Ryan Tannehill is once again undervalued as he went as a QB2 in most drafts I was in. Not sure where that's coming from. And even if we expect any kind of regression, it isn't coming this week against the Cardinals D, who no longer has Patrick Peterson and can easily be had through the air. Yeah, obviously the Titans' offense literally runs through King Henry, but the Cards' defense isn't awful, and their offense is potent enough to keep the pace fast and high scoring. I think Tannehill deserves a bump this week, especially if you own one of my guys to bench. I said it before and I'll say it again. Matty Ice is a matchup-based QB, and this week he has a stellar matchup against the Eagles. So you start him. Simple as that. You want to know more? Check out my rankings video, but trust me, you're going to want to give Matt Ryan, facing a weak Eagles secondary with up-and-coming star Calvin Ridley and new toy Kyle Pitts in the offense, a bump up to your starting lineup this week. I got some sleepers here too. Kirk Cousins has been getting hate all offseason, and while there may be some regression in this game with a healthy Dalvin Cook pulling most of the weight, though we'll see how long that lasts, he's got a scary good duo of receivers in Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. I think he'll quietly have another borderline QB1 season, and this week against a poor Bengals secondary, missing Trey Waynes, yeah, Look for Cousins to duke it out with Joe Burrow for QB supremacy and bring along some solid fantasy numbers in the process. The Sam Darnold revenge narrative isn't just sports show fodder. This is the real deal. Darnold wants to show the Jets what they gave up on, and with a solid trio of wide receivers in Moore, Anderson, and Marshall, and even tight end Dan Arnold getting in the mix, he could put up some big-time numbers. With all the motivation behind him to cream his old team and the weapons in front of him, expect a huge week from Darnold. Could come close to top 10 QB numbers this week. Alright, so which QBs am I benching this week? Well, to start, Fitzmagic could be Fitztragic against a healthy Chargers D. This game projects to be one of the lowest scoring of the week, so I don't see a lot of fantasy production here. I think this is going to be more like a sloppy sludge fest, a snoozer, and there's not many people that appeal to me in a snoozer. Other than Gibson and Thomas, maybe Keenan Allen on the other side, I don't see many points being put up in the fantasy realm. Now, Fitzy will have better matchups, and you can start him then, but this week, no. His only magic is going to be scoring less than 10 fantasy points, so you better put him on your bench. Other QBs I'm putting on the pine. Dude's going to have a better season after putting in all that hard work in the offseason, but he opens up against a nightmare Patriots defense, who was already stout against opposing QBs last season, but only got better in the offseason with moves like bringing Van Noy back to the fold. Tua will have better matchups this season, but this week, I'm sure you've got better options. Don't drop him, he's got some sweet matchups on the horizon, but this week, he's better off on your bench. Jared Goff is a flaming bag of trash. The Lions made a big mistake trading for him, and he's facing a Niners D who will be putting him on his back all game. Goff is so sporadic and unpredictable with his production, and yeah, he could put up garbage time numbers, but to who? The Lions wide receiver core sucks complete ass. St. Brown's the only one worth a damn, and we don't even know what he can do yet. DJ Hawkinson's the only talent they've got in the passing game, and Niners defend really well against tight ends. Well, fuck. What is Goff to do then? Nothing. So put him on your bench. Or in a dumpster, let's be real. Watch out for Herbert this week. You're likely starting him, but the Washington D can drive opposing QBs nuts with their dynamic duo of Kyle Fuller and Landon Collins holding down the secondary. This is going to be a low-scoring affair, I think. Not sure you'd have to start over Herbert. Maybe Hurts or Ryan? But be cautious. Finally, we come to the tight ends of the week, and despite everything I've been saying about the Washington football team, I do like Logan Thomas in this game. I think he and Gibson, maybe a little Scary Terry, will be the only ones scoring fantasy points for Washington this week. The score may be low, but I think Fitzpatrick is going to be throwing to Logan Thomas to get him out of trouble. He's going to get peppered with targets, so in PPR especially, this dude could be a top 5 tight end this week, even if he doesn't score a touchdown, but I think he will. If the Washington team scores 1 touchdown, it's probably going to Logan Thomas. If it's 2, Gibson will get 1 too. Now, he's going to prove himself to be a stud soon enough, so this might be the last time I have him on this show. Don't fuck around on him this week. Give Logan Thomas a bump to your starting lineup. Other tight ends I'm bumping up. Jonnu Smith was so frustrating last season. His production was anyway, because the dude has what it takes to be a stud tight end, but was criminally underutilized in the Titans' offense. The Pats are trying to rebuild their double trouble tight end game of old, and Jonnu is definitely the one to Hunter Henry's too. I think they'll actually use his talents to their full extent this season, and starts week 1 against the Dolphins. Jacoby Myers is the only other solid wide receiver option from Mac Jones, and those of us who pay attention to fantasy know that a rookie QB's best friend is that athletic tight end he can hit over the middle. I see a good game for Jonnu this week, and he could be a tight end 1 moving forward. Tyler Higbee has always been a great talent, but with the combination of too many mouths to feed and having trash bag Goff at QB, Higbee has yet to realize his potential. Enter Matt Stafford. He could make Higbee relevant, and the Bears were the second worst defense against opposing tight ends last season. I smell a breakout, and it could start this week. Bump Higbee up. As for sleepers, I've been talking about Dan Arnold, and I think he could have a 5-catch, 42 yards, and a touchdown kind of game. Quiet tight end 1 production. If you were an Irv Smith owner still looking for a replacement, Arnold could be your guy. Everyone seemed to have forgot that Zach Ertz was a stud tight end just 2 seasons ago. 1 injury-riddled season takes all that away? I don't think so. The Falcons were bottom 5 against tight ends last season. I think Ertz could take back the starting job or at least make a statement in this game, which is likely to be a barn burner with fantasy points for all. Just watch. So which tight end am I benching? Jared Cook, of course. The guy's on my shit list, and he's not coming off of it. But of course, I think he's going to do terrible, so he'll probably put up like tight end 1 numbers. Nah, I'm just kidding. Probably not. I actually like Parham as the better tight end in this offense this season. Seriously, I think Jared Cook's a bust this season, and you're going to see it in this game, so put him where he should be, on your bench. Other guys I'm benching, Gerald Everett and Russ Wilson have formed a bond this offseason, based on shared religious beliefs. And I think Everett could be close to a tight end 1 this season. But in this game, against the Colts D, who gave up the 3rd least fantasy points to tight ends last season, at right around 8, I'm not breaking him out yet. The time will come, just not now. Put him on your bench. Anthony Ferkser's another guy I love this season. But this opening contest against the Cardinals D, who went from dead last against tight ends to top 5 against the position in a matter of 1 year, thanks in part to rookie Isaiah Simmons, won't make him look so good. I'm sure you've got other tight ends, so use them and sit Ferkser on your bench. And I've got Noah Fant on bust alert. This guy's got some talent, but he's dealing with the lingering effects of an injured leg, and might even be a last-second scratch. Even if he does play, I think he'll be somewhat hobbled. The Giants seem like an easy matchup, but they actually defend well against tight ends. It's like basically the only thing they did well last season. You might have to start Fant, but you might not like the results. So that's it for the benches, bumps, and some sleepers. But you want those deep dives? Hey, you're going to have to tune in tomorrow morning, Sunday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 11:30 a.m. Eastern, for my Tinker Stinker Power Hour. And I'll give you all my deep dives, alright? I'll tell you what, I'll give you one of my double deep danger dives, just because I like you. So who exactly is Jameis Winston going to throw to? Thomas is out, Smith is out, Troutman is hurt, Callaway, yeah, sure. But someone else has to join in too. And I think that guy will be Juwan Johnson. On some platforms anyway, he's listed as both a wide receiver and tight end. You could use him in either, but he's obviously much more valuable as a tight end. I think Deontay Harris is a bust. And yeah, I actually really like little Jordan Humphrey too. More on him this Sunday morning. But I still think Juwan Johnson's at least the second best pass catcher on this offense, the way it's configured. There's going to be a lot of scoring this Sunday between the Packers and Saints, and even if Juwan returns barely double-digit points, that's still a solid start at the tight end position. This play could help you win your week if you're in need of a replacement at tight end. So that's it, freaks. Watch this a few times, and you'll be ready for this week. Or better yet, watch it a couple times, and then come see me tomorrow morning for the Tinker Stinker Power Hour. For 1 hour, I'll be answering your questions, going over my deep dives and sleepers. I'll have news updates, maybe drinking a beer, smoking a bowl, whatever. It's my morning to hang out with you guys. So while you're taking a dump and tinkering with your lineup, come see me. I'll help you with who to put in, and maybe which toilet paper to use. You never know. Good luck this week. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. in London. A big pip pip and cheerio to my British freaks. Anyway, until then, I'm out. Peace.